Sometimes you publish things that get called out, critical feedback, and I'm not talking about people who are like, oh, you forgot this thing, but people who are rather stringent. I don't want to curse, but anyway, they're really angry.
I've noticed, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, how do you guys always seem to deal with it? But like, as a fan on the sidelines, I'm always pissed at them, and how do you not slap back at them?
Well, a lot of times they're right, so that helps. I mean, you know, we get stuff wrong all the time. I'm blinded by my position and my privilege and my experiences all the time. So it's good to be called out. I mean, I'd rather be called out politely than meanly, but I try to see what's in the comment that's not about that, not tone. You know, if you ignore tone, is that a legitimate response? And in the case of the prison video, my brother made a video about the astonishingly crazy incarceration rates in the United States, and didn't talk about some of the, you know, a lot of the, especially related to race, but also related to socioeconomic status, income, the way that shapes our incarceration statistics. The fact that you're far more likely to be incarcerated if you're African American, far more likely to be incarcerated if you're a lower income person, and that even for the same crime, you're more likely to get a longer sentence. That there is clear racial bias in sentencing in the United States. That was a thing that he didn't talk about, but then I talked about it in our next video. And I probably would have talked about it anyway, but it was good to know that it was important to talk about, you know? So I try really, really hard to say, to learn, to always be learning. But at the same time, I don't always deal with it well, to be honest with you. It can be hurtful when it's personal, when criticism feels personal. It can be very hurtful to me, and I'm just not very grown up about it. But Tyler and Hannah can also speak to this.
I actually think that John's right when you can extract tone and then respond in a mature way, like, wow, did I learn something? Is this good? When it's somebody whose viewpoint I just flatly disagree with or something like that, I let you guys take care of it. If somebody responds in the comment section.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is that I'll let you can deal with it, you know? Thank you for dealing with it, I appreciate that.
Yeah, but like seriously, because it's like, it's self-policing and it's a discussion, it's engagement, it's people talking with each other about that. Like I remember talking about the Affordable Care Act generated a lot of discussion, and I was glad to see it, you know? And I was like, here's my opinion, here are some facts, blah, 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 blah. The end. I'm not telling you how to live your life. I'm expressing how I wish life was lived, but I'm not telling you how to do anything. So I defer to you a lot.
In a way, that's what makes online videos so powerful, is that instant conversation that emerges the second you put that video up, everyone starts talking about it, and whether it's positive or negative, they're you know, voicing their opinion. And that makes it really YouTube's democracy, right? That's kind of the point of it, and like, we're there voicing our opinion, and anyone else has the right, you know, just as much to voice their opinion in the comments, you know, they're not above anyone else. So I think, yeah, I think like Hannah said, it's cool to see people who voice the debate and enjoy people saying something interesting. I think that's cool.
It's much better to know how to defend your beliefs, which is why it's so great to see people getting it. I mean, it's annoying sometimes, obviously, because you're like, come on, guys, calm down. But it's cool because a lot of people are like, I believe this. Oh yeah? Why? No idea. You know? And so I'm glad that that generations after mine are learning how to engage in discourse. You have to talk about it. You have to talk. You have to discuss. You have to have your ideas challenged. I've had my ideas challenged, and I've learned a lot from listening. Right? It's 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen twice as much as you speak. Go for it. You know?
You raise a really great point, and I think that speaks to all of us here. It's really easy, I think, to get consumed by the daily media of how the world sucks. And with the work that we're all doing, it's a way that, how do you help people see that there's a different way of looking at it? And I mentioned earlier, I think it all just goes back to the storytelling. There is optimism, there is hope in every situation, and if people hide in the internet and want to shut that down, I think that's just our challenge of like, well, we're going to figure out a way to make that happen. I think the other piece of it too is you might not be able to ever change the mind of someone who's negative, so just focus on the people that might just not have that information and not be aware. I think some of the traveling and work that you pointed out and what you've seen, that is, for some people who might never travel or see that in person, like you're making a huge difference in helping them understand a complicated and complex world. So.
That's what I was about to add. We're so constantly bombarded by campaigns about certain causes, and we're told stats, and we're overloaded with it. But actually, it's rare that we can go in and actually see the tangible organizations and the difference they're making. And by giving it that personal story, we often go out, we really don't know what we're in for, but just by being very honest in front of the camera about how you feel about it and what you're experiencing, often really brings people along on that journey.
Yeah, largely I think there's just a lot of ignorance in the world, and we see it as our job just to help get rid of that a little bit. Like a quick example, we were in the cab on the way back from the airport. We were in the cab on the way back from the airport the other day, coming back from Nairobi, and I said to the cab driver, I said, "Where have you been?" He said, "Oh, I've been in Africa." I said, "Have you ever been?" He said, Nah, I heard there's a lot of flies over there." Wow. Pure, unbelievable ignorance. And so if we can go out and just shine light and, I don't understand how humans can be that ignorant. If you can just show what the situation really is, you can make a huge difference. You can really change people's perspective.
Yeah, we have this monolithic imagining of the developing world. I think this, particularly Africa, we see it as a country, not a continent, a lot of times. But for me, the internet can become a place of mere distraction, right? Like where all you do is you scroll through your Tumblr feed, you scroll through your Twitter feed, and you're doing that to distract yourself from this kind of deep down pain that's always there. That's always there. It's like pain that's associated with boredom, at least for me, where it's kind of intense. I mean, if you've ever felt,
it's like a personal attack. I feel you coming for me.
I love you, Tyler, and this is an intervention. That kind of boredom is something that you want to distract yourself from. That's why in a quiet moment I pull out my phone and I load Angry Birds or Flappy Bird or whatever the new bird-based game is. That's why I do it. It's not because I have an urgent need to play Flappy Bird. It's because I have an urgent need not to be engaged in the world, because it's kind of scary, particularly in quiet times. And the internet can be that. And I don't want to take anything away from the value of distraction. I think that there's something to that. But you don't want to spend your whole life distracted. And the truth is that in my experience anyway, distraction isn't going to do anything to address that deep down pain that's inside of all of us. The only thing that really addresses it is engagement, is what you talked about, is interpersonal connection and feeling like you're doing work in your life that's valuable, whether it's professional work or not. And so distraction is the easy way, but it's not the way that works. And so I think, hopefully there can also be spaces on the internet that are for engagement and for connection, and I think that's what everybody's trying to build. Josh is actually a huge inspiration to me on that front, because I think that Josh is always building communities that are about engagement and connection. All of his videos on some level are about trying to do that, trying to engage people and trying to get them to feel connected to the world around them.
I don't want our communities to die with us. As grim as that sounds, it would be so much better and lasting and ripple effect if you guys turned to each other and saw the value of what you guys could do together, regardless of our recognition also. Because realistically, we're just literally people. But do it for yourselves and do it for each other. Do anyone, or what is that?
Do anyone. Believe.
I was just going to be super cheesy and say that although there's always room for improvement, I feel incredibly proud of the way the YouTube community is now. It's because of you guys that we're all able to do what we do. So thank you for giving us the freedom to do that.